Welcome to Homeschool is a Work of Heart. I'm Melissa Webb, and after years in the classroom and years homeschooling and supporting those in home education, and even more years creating curriculum for families like yours, I have learned this. Homeschooling isn't about perfection. It is about purpose. And this podcast is here to encourage you, to guide you, and to remind you that what you're doing truly matters. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello everyone. Okay, who is ready to up-level their teaching this week? I want you to consider ways that you are bringing awe into your home and learning. Are you ready? Let's do this. I know that in the past few episodes, we had been talking about taking books to higher heights, doing these thematic lessons to think bigger and beyond the pages. Yes, have you caught some of those? Hopefully they were inspiring. So now I want you to go into bringing more awe into your learning. And I'm going to give you some examples of how we can do that in simple ways. With our books, we can start with that catalyst. So let's just say we're reading our science book, or maybe it's a history book, and we're looking at pictures of the Grand Canyon in Arizona, and we've read some fascinating facts, and then we turn the page. There may not be a lot of awe in just that. There could be a little bit, probably, but big awe happens when we stop for a moment and just contemplate the vastness of such a thing as the Grand Canyon. So, I don't know, have you seen those videos of people who go out on the Grand Canyon sidewalk? It's that horseshoe-shaped glass bridge. It goes like 70 feet out from the canyon's rim. Seriously, it makes my palms sweat, my knees go weak when I just watch other people on it. And they'll stop, they'll pause, they'll lean over. And it's something like 4,000 feet above the canyon. Just imagine. That's awe. A-W-E. Awe. And how simple is that? Just to go beyond the science book or the history book and go watch some videos to get the awe factor planned into your lessons. Let's say you're studying plant cells and maybe you're comparing them to animal cells. You already did animal cells. Now you're talking about plant cells. So you read, and then again, why not watch a video? They have those time-lapsed, like slow motion, how a seed grows. You could even go next level. You could grow some yourselves, get the seeds, then put them in damp paper towels, put them in a baggie, tape them to the window, and then just watch. Or we can then take it to another level and go into deeper conversations about the realization that those seeds become the foods that we rely on to nourish our bodies. Every time we level up, every time our kids are like, that's amazing, then we are adding awe to our learning. And I think it's time for all of us to be a little more awed. Now you can take that either way, AWE or ODD. I'm all for both of them. You homeschool. You already know you're both of those, yes? All right. So there's a guy that I want you to know about. His name is Dacher. I think that's how you pronounce it, Dacher. I'm not positive about that, but his last name is Keltner. And he's an author. He wrote a book. He's written a few, but his most recent one is called Awe, the New Science of Everyday Wonder. And I heard him interviewed on Andrew Huberman's Lab podcast and discovered his passion for mapping emotions and connecting it with science. So, of course, I became an instant fan. Awe is an emotion, and it has a positive scientific effect on our bodies. Seriously, go watch him, learn from him, listen to him. It was amazing, some of the research that's been done and how having awe in our lives makes us healthier mentally, but also physically. We should all want more awe. And it doesn't even require a whole lot of time, but the consistency matters. So before we even go any further, I do want to have you do a little experiment with me. I want you just to take a moment and I want you to think about the top, 3 to 5 emotions you believe that you probably feel every day. Feel free to pause this and jot those down. Now, psychologist Paul Ekman identified the 6 basic emotions that humans across most cultures in the world experience. And he narrowed it down to the top 6. So if you're wondering right now, what emotions do you mean? If you want to keep it really simple, the top 6 are considered happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Those are the top 6. However, when you include other things like what I would call intensity. So anger is one of these 6 basic emotions, but I think there are different levels of anger, don't you? There's a level of intensity. So if it's a really low intensity, to me, that would be like I'm slightly annoyed. It would fall under anger, but it's mild versus downright furious anger, right? So I think annoyed is an emotion. I would call furious an emotion. Or what about the fact that sometimes we blend our emotions? I have a dear friend who's moving, and I am sad that she's leaving the state. She's moving thousands of miles away. And I'm also really happy for her and her husband because there's a lot of excitement, a lot of new adventure coming her way. And that's exciting and happy. So I would call how I'm feeling right now bittersweet. See how it's kind of a blend? Bittersweet. I would call that an emotion. So I think context matters, all those things. Ultimately, most people agree that humans experience hundreds of emotions. So please don't think that there's a right word for it or a wrong word. When I want you to consider the top 3 to 5 that you live with on the regular, what comes to mind? Are you mostly happy, stressed, and tired? And how would you know? Are you just guessing? So, of course, I have to come right back to the importance of adult journaling. Writing is a skill that we should be teaching our children because they should still be doing a lot of it as adults. I hope you are. If we are not taking the time to think about our thinking, maybe it's not daily for you, but maybe it's a few times a week. Great. If we don't do that, we are unlikely going to be able to elevate our lives to the next best level, which is always a wonderful goal, the next best level. That's a goal nobody can outgrow. I still look forward to meeting the next best version of myself. She's there. I'm coming for her. So if you haven't thought much about the most common emotions that you are experiencing, I really want to challenge you. Grab a journal. It could just be a piece of paper. It could be your notes app on your phone, whatever. But I want you to write down right now an emotion you're feeling. Calm, inspired, curious. I don't know. What are you feeling in this moment? Now, whatever that feeling is, I also want you to write down the thought that's creating it. Because our thoughts create how we feel. That's what's driving your emotions. Like, seriously, think about that because that's powerful. Our thoughts can be changed, tweaked, adjusted. Therefore, we have so much control over our emotions. But then what I'd like you to do is in 3 to 4 hours from now, do it again. Just stop, set a timer if you need to, pick a time of the day, and then just stop and just think, what am I feeling right this moment? Maybe something just happened, creating that thought that's creating that feeling. Write it down. Then 3 to 4 hours after that, do it again. If you do this little challenge for a few days, maybe a whole week, you're going to start to recognize trends, habitual thinking patterns. You're going to receive enlightenment, this personal awareness, and I want that for you. We can actually go into a whole episode about that. We can talk later about what you do with all that information, especially if you're not thrilled with your outcomes or you just want better for yourself or for your family. But let's get back to awe for now. So this guy, Mr. Keltner, sees these links between emotions and science and how it's really good for us to experience awe on the regular. And I can see how this link can make us better home educators and parents. Who's in for this? If we are not aware of the emotions that we are living in every day, we're going to default to teaching and to parenting from those emotions. So just think about this for a second. If you are someone constantly feeling rushed, feeling overwhelmed, overly tired, then guess what kind of learning environment is being created? A rushed one, an overwhelmed one, a draining one. However, good news, if we begin to intentionally create moments of awe, something's going to shift for everyone, because awe changes the emotional climate of your home. It naturally produces a few things. You're going to get more curiosity, a sense of calmness, higher interest, connection, and even gratitude, which is a great space to live your life in. So those are the emotions that we really want to have in our homes. This is where real learning is going to thrive. Now, we don't just teach a lesson, we shape our environment. We enrich our relationships. This is good stuff, my friend. Now, some planning is required, of course, so I'm going to challenge you again in the best way, of course. But I want to ask you, are you planning for awe on purpose, with intention? Not just hoping it happens or just happy when it happens naturally, not just squeezing it in if we have time, but I'm serious. Are you planning for it? Because what gets planned gets prioritized. I'll say that one again. What gets planned gets prioritized. I'll go back to our example because I think spring is practically begging us to slow down and notice it. So let's go back to the idea of seeds. Sure, you can have a worksheet on plant parts and they fill in the names. Great. You could have a reading passage from the science book. You could follow up with some comprehension questions, either verbally or on paper, whatever. That's all fine. But what else are you going to do to add in some awe? This is where you're going to, ahead of time, go find a time-lapsed video of a seed growing. Or get out the baggies, get some seeds, do that baggie with the damp paper towel and put names on the baggies and tape them to the window that gets the most light. Get prepared. Be ready to do these things. Get some fruits. Cut them open. Actually look at the apple seeds. Look at how strawberries have all the seeds on the outside. Get curious. Have some things in your home that are going to allow you to look at things more closely and with awe. I can just imagine making snacks, pulling out some celery, cutting some celery sticks, putting some peanut butter on it, and then you've got the heel, the base of your celery. Do you know that if you just take that base, cut it flat, and then put the bottom in just a small dish of water, put the heel, the root, the base in the water, just set it out, put it somewhere where light's going to get to it, watch it regrow. It's amazing. If you're like, we don't have any celery, there's a video for that too. But don't just watch videos. It's so important that you're actually doing some hands-on learning as well. That really produces a lot of awe in children. And keep in mind, now you're getting into full-on botany You could talk about how a seed is reproduction, but things like regrowth on this celery experiment, that's actually called propagation. It's alive, it's changing, it's growing. Look at how plants adapt. I mean, this is awesome. Why not keep a science journal and track the plants as you watch what happens? Oh, this is great stuff. The shift that I really want you to consider trying is, instead of asking questions like, all right, so did we finish everything today? Instead, ask, did we notice something amazing today? And instead of, all right, did we complete the work we needed to do? Ask, did anything make us stop and wonder? Because that's awe, and it's not hard. But it may be a new habit that you decide to build. And put it out as a challenge for your whole family. Who can find the most awesome thing about our day today? What a fun challenge that would be. And of course, yes, I can always bring this back to writing. You know, I can't help myself. But after any awe-filled moment, don't just move on. Capture it with okay, let's write down what we noticed. Let's explain step by step how this thing happened. Let's make a story out of this. I mean, this is natural writing. It is less structured. That's fine, because many times in our lives, writing isn't structured, but it's still important because it's still putting our thoughts on paper. When students look at a blank piece of paper and they're like, I just don't even know what to put here, it tells me so much about the thoughts happening in their brains. They're unclear. They're unsure. When they can start to be sure about their own thoughts and thinking, then they can put that on paper. And that strengthens them in so many beautiful ways. So the bigger picture here that I'm hopefully painting in very bright, broad strokes is that you are not just raising a person or teaching a kid how to complete assignments. That's fine, but it's not what we want for the lifelong joy of learning. I want you to consider the fact that you're raising someone who should be noticing the world around them, who thinks more deeply about these things, who feels curiosity on a very regular basis, and who can communicate clearly. That's what I want for you, for all of you. Awe should not be an extra that we try to fit in from time to time. I am here to tell you it is essential. It's essential for our emotional wellness. It has positive effects on our lives, and it forces us to slow down just enough to see what we normally rush past in this crazy busy world that we live in. So I encourage you to slow down and, watch the caterpillar that's climbing up a stalk of milkweed and gnawing on the leaves, and just wonder out loud together. Learn more. Know that without a doubt that in that space, learning becomes more meaningful. Connection's going to become stronger. And yes, even writing becomes easier because thinking becomes clearer. And if you want better learning, it's never about adding more work. I recommend you add more wonder. All right, my friends, go have a wonderful and awesome day. Right on, everyone. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And hey, if you are feeling stretched thin and you would love some support with teaching writing, I offer programs designed to make that part of homeschooling easier and more enjoyable for both you and your child. I also have free resources on my website, so please be sure to check those things out and subscribe to the podcast. You do not have to do this alone. Right on.